Welcome everyone to Titans Return Week Autobot Edition, as we look through everything that came out for the Titans Return line in Wave 1 and a little bit of Wave 2, from the Titan Masters all the way up through the Voyagers, because hey, some of that big stuff is expensive. But we're going to look at a whole bunch of stuff over the next 6 days. Whew. And you'll be able to tell how many things that I reviewed back to back in one sitting by the little bit of sunburn I have on my hand where I did not lotion properly. Pokemon Go will get you out in the sun, people. But until then, we do have toys to look at. And now, we're going to look at the Legends class Autobot that came out. Well, one of them anyway. Saving one for next Monday. But Mondays are Legends, so we're looking at Rewind right now. This is kind of significant. Rewind has reached such popularity, I'm pretty sure he's eclipsed Blaster at this point, thanks to IDW. And it's kind of telling when his Data Slug mode is the entire basis of Blaster and then Soundwave's leader class gimmick, and thus most of the Legends class figures in Titans Return. That's how popular he is. But as you can see, he is here in his Data Slug mode from the IDW verse, which has been redone as something of an iPod or a very tiny smartphone. We take a look at the front, you can see he does have the label, actual stickers, which is done up in a metallic and a foil finish, and has his G1 tape deck look to it. But you can also see a bunch of circuitry detail, an Autobot sigil, and little marks to make him look like he actually has cell phone reception, battery life, some home buttons there on the bottom row. Kind of cool. And then one main button down at the bottom. A little bit of silver paint as well. A little bit of red up there, along with another Autobot sigil. A little more for the, I don't know, it still works here. Why'd they put two Autobot symbols on? He's very Autobot. So as you can see, yep, he is cast in kind of a slightly glittered black plastic, as well as some nice gray that's borderline silver. It's pretty basic, but hey, it's red. It's silver, black, and red, which is never a color scheme that looks bad. What is nice about this mode is the little touches it goes on. For starters, along the side, you do have weapon storage for him. I will tell you guys right now, don't get carried away transforming and forget to take that gun out. Not saying I did it, but it's not going to look as good as he does when we get to tank mode. What I want to point out, however, is right there, if I can focus, yep, he's got a little power button built in. That's a nice little detail. That actually is pretty nice. On the other side, however, it's mostly blank. 5mm port there if you want to plug in a weapon or something. More interesting down here is another port that I couldn't figure out for the longest time. It's not 5mm, it can't hold a gun. I had no idea what this was for, and then it dawned on me. Hasbro, you mad geniuses. Yep, it's for earbuds. It's an actual headphone jack built in. I almost wish it got a little bit of silver paint around the edge just to reinforce that, but that's a cool little feature to put in. That's I'm actually quite pleased that they did that. Okay, so yeah, it's actually kind of interesting for this mode, but it is just a very simple mode. Let's get him into a more interesting one by first removing the gun. And then I'm going to pluck the sides open, rotate everything up to the top, fold all of this back, and with everything set, clip the gray parts into the sides of the, like so. And all that formed, we are going to put the gun back in that spot, which turns him from the Data Slug to a little brickish tank. So, like pretty much everything else in the Titan Masters line, Titans Return line, I should say, he's a triple changer, which I guess you can't just sell him as a Data Slug. You do have to give him some kind of mode the kids can play with, and hey, a tank is as good as anything. And it's a pretty good vehicle to make out of such a brickish form. As you can see, works fairly well. Tank treads molded into the sides and painted silver to make him stand out. We can also see a little bit of new red detailing along the back. For the most part, its main trick is bringing all that gray up to the top to act as the central turret, while everything else is the actual vehicle stays black and stays toward the bottom, which is pretty good. Now, there is one gripe to this in the shape, and you can see they tried to give it an angle to the front like a proper tank, but as you'll remember from my Titanium Megatron review, tanks with big flat ends at the front kind of go against tank design because they're supposed to roll over things, and this would not roll over a speed bump, let alone, hills and rocks and things that it's meant to bowl over. Not a whole lot we can do about that at this size when he has to form a data slug, though. So I'm going to be more forgiving of it here. Yeah, he doesn't quite look like a real tank. He looks like an 8-bit incarnation of a tank. But you know what? They tried. They honestly did. And it's not a terrible looking tank. There's a cute little aesthetic to it that I don't mind so much. It's the neat thing for it to turn into. Now, you will see, along with all the block elements, he does have little wheels on the bottom, but they're the little pegged-in caster wheels that don't really do anything. They don't do anything but scrape up my review board down here. On the top, however, you will notice a set of... you will notice a set of little pegs, pairs of them. These are for Titan Masters, which can ride on top. And Loudmouth here is as good as any to show you. You can plug them in feet first and let them stand on top of the tank, because this is a perfectly natural way of riding on a tank, isn't it? This is how they do it in the military. It's a goofy little fun, but I'm glad that they included it. It's a simple way of letting them go and join in on the fun of the Titan Masters line without actually having to incorporate, cockpits and headmaster ports and all that. But yeah, you will see, I kind of bent the gun on mine because I got a little carried away and forgot to take the gun out before transforming. Oh, yeah, I did that. But that out of the way, that's the tank mode. Let's get to the mode that everyone really knows him as. We'll go ahead to the robot mode. Well, luckily, the tank transformation parts pretty much puts his arms where they need to be, at least as far as engineering-wise. I'm going to bend these down, put them like that. Flipping over, you'll reveal the arms are in their proper positions. Tank treads fold out. Pretty standard type transformation there, with the feet that fold out. And oh my god, just like everything else in this line, he has no head. Fortunately, you don't have to have that one plugged on. It just flips up like so. And just like that, we have our favorite cassette turned data slug turned Autobot recording machine, pretty much. Rewind looking quite cool. So yeah, as you can see here, he is very IDW based. This is meant to be that incarnation of the character and does a pretty good job of it, I would say. Take a closer look at the head and you'll be able to immediately see, aside from looking much like the comic book model, he does have the little touches like the camera built into the side of his head. That's nice attention to detail, and he really would not be the proper version of Rewind without it. I'm very happy with that. Autobot sigil on the front, as well as some deco to harken back to his G1 toy, both in the shoulders and in the chest, of course. Beyond that, he pretty much has the same stuff going on that he did in vehicle mode. Still black and silver, the treads adding some extra color and some, well, not really color since it's all black and white, but breaking up the black on the legs at least, so that works out for me. You'll notice something strange is one of the arms is perfectly solid and one is quite hollow. It's a little bit jarring when you actually start to notice it. Some of you picked it up on it quick, some didn't until I pointed it out. Yeah, so in order to actually make this work, in order to actually have like a weapon storage part, the hollow side of the plastic had to be here to make the weapon storage area. Over here, to keep the tank mode looking solid, they put all the hollow sides on this. So, it was a weird bit of engineering here. I almost wish they were both hollowed out on the same side, though. Yeah, you can't. I don't know. Like, somewhere along here, I feel like a shortcut was taken that should not have been taken. Like, this... It would have been a lot more plastic, I guess, but, man, this really did need to be, molded out. It kept solid just for the data slug mode. Not the tank mode. What am I thinking? But yeah, it does look a little bit funky. But beyond that, still looking quite good. For articulation, he does have a ball-jointed neck, though on mine, that little hinge that flips up his head doesn't quite lock in so well, so he has some up and down head motion, completely unintentional. Shoulders are ball-jointed, but they also have a hinge on the torso itself, so you get some decent range of mobility in the shoulder, as well as a bicep rotation. That always works for me. Nothing in the waist, but great range in the hips. Nice and free moving, no real restriction. Good ball joints in the knees as well. As a Legends class figure, it's pretty much par for the course. So he's got all the articulation he needs, or would typically have. And of course, he can hold his gun in either hand, and you do still have that 5mm hole on the other side if you want to arm gun him or give him some added firepower. Because, let's face it, he needs a little bit more firepower sometimes, because things don't always go well for Rewind. But that is Titan's Return Rewind. Very, very loving tribute to the IDW version of the character. Looking quite exceptional. This one, I was really happy that it came out as solid as it did, especially after my first experience with the Data Slug formers in this toy line, because Buzzsaw did not quite come out as well as I wanted him to. He kind of has a hollow feel to his engineering. That's not present here on Rewind. He is solid. He is great looking for his size, and I think this is a really, really well done incarnation of the character. And now we just have to wait for Chrome Dome to come out, I guess, because he's looking a little bit lonely right now.